getting rejected after applying for a job for international students, as well as somebody who's working internationally and looking to move to UK. Many times we apply for the jobs and just get a rejection directly by the system. There are many reasons behind it, and one of the reasons is, of course, ATS, application tracking system. In this video, we'll be touching a bit about ATS, why people reject it, and then how to make your CV better for the job prospect. Before that, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, so my name is Bianca Perino, and I'm the founder of Perino Careers, which is a unique career consultancy supporting international candidates with their UK job search. So I focus a lot on CVs, how to make them UK and ATS friendly, cover letters, interview skills, and also the cross-cultural elements that come into play with international candidates and helping them understand their career in a UK context, really, and how to then succeed.
All right, thank you so much for coming on my channel. Firstly, so I think
Right.
about ATS. What can you just give me a brief about what is ATS, like why it's there, just a bit about that, and then we can dive into the job perspective.
Sure. So ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. So it's a software that a lot of companies, around 80%, use in the UK now, even smaller companies and large established organizations. You can guarantee they'll be using this software. And it's really to vet candidates in a very efficient, quick way before the CV gets to someone in HR or the employer who's recruiting. So they use this software, as I said, to really make their recruitment process very efficient. And if your CV is not ATS friendly, it will be instantly rejected from the applicant tracking system. So what happens is these companies, when they recruit for a role, they will type in keywords that they need to have in the CV in order for your CV to then pass the initial stage, and then CVs are prioritized. So this is something that a lot of people, and I wasn't aware of till recently, that they are ranked and prioritized then after they've been passed. And the ones that are obviously highly prioritized, those are the candidates that will be invited forward for an interview. And depending on how many applicants there are, if there's hundreds, then your CV needs to really have those keywords throughout the CV to make sure that it passes, and then you're highly ranked. Because if you're up against hundreds of applicants as opposed to 10 from a smaller company, this obviously makes a huge difference. But that's the kind of general gist of what the applicant tracking systems are.
All right, thank you for that. I think just reflecting on some companies, especially large ones, do have their own systems as well, whereby they want specific information along with the CV. So how does that work out with the ATS? Like, does that information they ask for separately helps them make better decision along with the CV, or is it kind of a one thing happening at the back? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so for example, if they ask for a cover letter as well, always send the cover letter, but they also go through applicant tracking systems, and they'll be scanning for keywords in the cover letter, as well as maybe some documents they might ask for. For example, if it's a professional qualification that you need, maybe an accountant role, they'll be looking for keywords, and it depends what they've put into in the software program as to what they're looking for. But yeah, often cover letters are scanned as well as potentially other documents.
All right. And so I think if we can clarify that the ATS system helps prioritizing or ranking the candidates. So essentially, whoever's on the top basically gets more priority. Everybody tries to consider the person with more relevant skills, more relevant narrative in the CV, and the person in the back probably doesn't get the chance because the job is already done. The posting is finished now. So that's what probably you get rejected as well. All right, that's helpful. Now, looking on the CVs, you have seen a lot of CVs, and I have seen as well. So, what do you think really lacks, number one, for experienced professionals? We'll talk about students as well later, but for experienced professionals, when they apply on UK side, where is the lacking and how it can be more friendly with the system?
Oh God, I could talk about this for hours, this topic. Can I just also say as well, 75% of suitable applicants are rejected from applicant tracking systems. So that's
Massive
from
number.
the indeed.co.uk website. There's a video on there about ATS. And I remember reading that statistic and thinking, oh my God, that's such a large number of people that have the right requirements, but they haven't made the CV applicant tracking system
Yeah.
friendly. So yeah, so your question was how, like, where do international candidates fall down with the
I
CV?
think it's basically like bigger things that you definitely doing wrong, and as a
Yeah,
common theme that somebody actually needs to correct it
yeah,
for it to be more system friendly.
yeah. So I'd say the main things are bearing in mind UK CVs are 2 pages maximum. Okay, so I would say stick to 2 pages. Don't have 1 page. Don't have three, four, five. Have 2 pages and use all that space for all your experience and your skills. Remember that UK CVs are actually pretty simple. However, there's a very unique balance between your soft technical skills and your interpersonal skills and your qualities. So you don't have any personal information like photo, marital status, date of birth, passport number, visa status, all those really personal pieces of information you don't include. You only need your LinkedIn URL, email, phone number, your city. You don't need your full address and your name, obviously. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the only things that you need on the UK CV. And then just to make sure that the format is very simple. So you don't have tables. Tables are no columns, no borders, and you have clearly headed sections which are again UK friendly. So professional summary section, and then you would have work experience or professional experience, skills. Words like I saw on a CV recently, like career contour, someone had, which means obviously their like career journey. But
Yeah.
for example, that's not a word that is UK friendly necessarily. So being very
It's not
careful
even
with your
human
vocabulary.
friendly. It's not even
Yeah.
human friendly. You just need to be very simple, I guess.
Yeah. So actually keeping it quite simple and having clearly headed sections and being very careful with the vocabulary that you're using and does it make sense in a UK context? Because
Can
a
I say
lot,
that don't try to
yeah,
be over smart in your
sorry,
CV?
yeah,
Just be simple. Don't just use too much vocabulary just because you think you know a lot.
yeah.
Just be simple.
Yes, yeah, keep it more simple in your own words, and no icons as well. So I've seen, some people put icons for companies on their CV, no icons because the ATS will instantly reject those CVs as well. Yeah, so those are the kind of the main things I would say to
Yeah.
avoid.
Cool. And just, yeah, I think what I have seen as well is people having those boxes essentially talking about different things, even though those things can be built like kind of line items down there, but people put the boxes. And
Yeah,
I think on the icons, there are two things about it. I think one thing you covered, and second is probably you are not allowed to have them anyways, because it's not your
yeah,
property that you have to put in the CV. So that's
yeah.
another element of that as well.
Yeah,
So
you don't want to
yeah.
risk getting sued by a company as well.
Well, yeah, companies don't do, but essentially it's like one of the things that's not legal, but it's in practice. So
Yeah.
you never know. So
Yeah, and the other
yeah,
thing is no references like the names and details of personal references, like professional references. You just put references available on request, and you don't include people's names or details anymore for confidentiality
yeah.
reasons.
Yeah, I think that's the important point. A lot of CVs from overseas are talking a bit more personal things. When it comes to UK, it's more like GDPR based, and then you don't really want to have anything at all. I remember
Yeah,
at Deloitte, they specifically asked like kind of one of the things, I don't recall where, but don't include your birth because that's not the thing we're interested in.
no, yeah, not at all.
So I mean, there are basic things whereby people just think you don't understand the market, you don't understand where you are sending your CV and
Exactly.
what's environment. All right, that would be from perspective of experience. Now, from the student's perspective, so experience have more of a work experience section, which is the biggest area holder, placeholder in your CV. About the students who are applying for the jobs. Of course, on their postgraduate visa, what do you think? What they are lacking in their CVs?
Yeah, so that's a good point. A lot of them still have those downfalls that I've just mentioned.
Mhm.
But then the other ones I see where the students really worked hard to make it UK friendly, but it's still, it can be they've missed things out that they think are not relevant. For example, volunteering. Could be volunteering they've done in their home country or in the UK, or even being a member of a club or society in the university. That's actually an extracurricular activity, so you should really include that. And also not mentioning your part-time work experience, because I know in some countries they wouldn't put that because it's not relevant directly to the graduate role they want to get. So they think it's just not important. It doesn't look professional. But in the UK, employers want to see that you actually have, it's good to show you've got some UK work experience, even if it's in a part-time job, but you've been exposed to UK work culture, you've already passed recruitment process, and you understand how things work slightly differently. It shows that you're very employable.
Mhm.
So definitely put in your part-time work experience and highlight those transferable skills, and add some value to it with the bullet points that you include. Don't just have served customers or handled customer issues, but more about what were the customer issues, how did you deal with them, and to give some insight into how you actually showed some skills and qualities. So definitely a lot of international students forget or just downplay their not, they don't put in their part-time work experience. And then a lot of them, some of them are lacking some of the maybe technical skills required for some roles,
Mhm.
and maybe the practical experience if they haven't had a placement on as part of their course, or they haven't done work experience. But there's ways you can bridge this gap very quickly by getting some volunteering experience or doing an online course, even LinkedIn learning, and you put that on your CV, and then it really communicates that you're bridging that skills gap. And
Mhm.
that could be enough to get you an interview, because it shows that you are actually developing yourself. So if you do have gaps in your experience, you're lacking technical skills, look for ways to close them very quickly.
All right. And I think one thing probably should highlight that if your CV it is compliant, doesn't mean you get a job. You need to have everything, all the skills, the qualifications, everything. It's not like your CV is best, coming on top and you will get a job. It's basically a combination. You have everything that is required for the job and you do your CV properly. That's where you actually get the call for the jobs. You need to have both and not one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only last question before concluding is basically I'm someone who's from overseas and I want to look for the job in UK. I know there is some job out there and I'm in auditing side, so I know there's a, let's say, audit senior manager level job out there. Now I want to apply and my CV probably is in the very old format that's probably used over there. I try simplifying that, but still, uh, what are the ways I can be more comfortable with that my CV will be picked or it is better for UK? Like I can't assess it myself because I don't know the market, right? So what can
Mm.
be the ways out there for me to actually think a bit more like, is it good enough?
Well, they could contact me and ask me if to have a professional look over their CV. But no, but another way, there's a website called jobscan.co.
Hmm.
So it's a really good website. You might know about it already. It
Yeah.
mimics applicant tracking systems, and then you can upload your CV and cover letter next to a job advert, and then it gives you like a match. It's very, very rare you would get 100%, but you'd be looking for 80% or more in order for it to be a strong pass, for like that it would be likely to pass applicant tracking systems. So that website's quite good. But also if you're applying for lots of roles and you're not getting any, you're getting constant rejections, it could be a number of things, but to make sure it's not your kind of CV and cover letter, obviously just do your research to see that they're in the right format, and get someone to read over them who's from the UK, but also make sure that you are applying for the right types of roles, because this is another thing. Job titles in one country can be different to the UK. So it's really understanding where your skill set lies within a UK context, and what are the job titles that you should be applying for in the UK, because they can be very
Yeah.
different to your home country.
I had a funny incident with a friend. The person reached out to me that he wants me to refer, and the person was kind of a manager back at home, and the person actually I referred him for assistant manager because that was more equivalent in UK for him. But the person went on the portal and applied for director level, which is like one level in the firms before partner. Like you can't get this job at all. Like this is not for you. But
Yeah,
in a corporate, you may see director level being kind of somebody who's managing something, a reporting area, but in firm structure, director is like one level before the partner, and that's kind of very much high in the hierarchy.
yeah,
So
yeah. And
it's,
it's
it's
yeah, it's different. It's different in other countries. That kind of the manager, even like the title manager in some countries doesn't mean they manage people.
yeah,
They might just manage projects or like a product, or it doesn't mean,
yeah,
you know. So it's yeah, it's making sure that you're applying for the right roles and you understand the UK job market and the types of roles and again that involves research and speaking to recruiters and reaching out to people and building that knowledge because otherwise you're just applying for the wrong roles and it becomes disheartening and you think you have nothing to offer when you do,
yeah.
but it's just, yeah.
Yeah. Last one, PDF CVs or Word CVs, because I have seen both actually. So what's your take on this?
PDF,
PDF,
definitely.
definitely.
Always
Yeah.
send it in PDF, but actually, just because sometimes PDF can throw off the format of your CV. So convert it to PDF and send it to yourself and then look at it, because most people will probably open emails on their phone now and you need to make sure that the PDF is actually like okay and the format's okay. So, but definitely send it in PDF and the cover letter too
Yeah.
as well.
All right. No, I think that's been helpful. I think just gives a bit of perspective about the rejection can be due to CVs. It's not the only reason that like there are tons of reasons like you may be rejected. I know people who just message me and say I applied and in 10 minutes I got rejected. There can be tons of reasons for that. It's not just a CV, but it can be one of them, and you want to avoid or reduce number of reasons that somebody might reject you. And I
Yeah.
think this is really helpful to give more perspective. And I think it's not just the UK. For the ATS, it's probably every bigger company in the world looking on automizing their system of HR, the recruitments, just making
Yeah.
sure they are more efficient in this perspective. And I think definitely this video will help. And yes, I think if definitely if you are looking for better guidance, of course, there are professionals like we have one here. Uh, People can help you. Of course, people are spending time and they need to be paid for that for sure. But there are definitely people, if you want to invest more for your career, you want to invest, really get into something, then definitely reach out to us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining today. We'll see you. I'll see you sometime else in another video as well. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.